Hey guys, I hope you all have had a good weekend. Happy Monday. So today we are gonna actually do a little bit of a kind of a recap slash further dive into Hinduism and Buddhism by looking at them together and seeing what similarities, if any, there are and what differences they may have. So basically today is we're gonna go back, kind of recap a few things, and then we're gonna look at how these two religions kind of are similar and how they are different. And that will be part of what your assignment is for today and tomorrow as well. And I'll explain that later once we get through this part. But I figured we would start with Hinduism and kind of go back over what Hindus believe happens after someone dies. So if you remember, Hindus believe in this idea of reincarnation and karma. If you remember, reincarnation is just the idea that when people die or animals die, their soul is reborn into something else that is being born. So Hindus believe in this idea of reincarnation. They also believe this idea that karma plays a role in what happens to your new soul. They believe if you have good karma, then you have a chance to be moved up into a higher caste or be born into a sacred animal in your next life. So if you have good karma, which you just do good things, you're a good person, you do good things for good people, you have a better chance of being reborn into something else once you die. And they also believe the opposite, that if you have bad karma, then you could potentially be born into a lower caste or a non-sacred animal. So keep these two terms in mind, because this is another term that I want to, or two things that we'll look at here in a minute when we look at the Buddhism part of it. Let me see. There was one other thing I wanted to mention here. The caste system. Huge in Hinduism. It's like the foundation of everything for them. If you remember, it's divided into four parts, four varnas: the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Dalits, the Shudras, sorry. And then those four varnas determine the entire social order, essentially, of Indian society. What you do for a living, who you marry, who you hang out with, who you eat with, who you socialize with. Just about every part of your life is decided by this caste system. Keep in mind the whole idea behind it, because when we get to Buddhism here in a second, you'll see there's actually a pretty big difference. So now that we've kind of recapped a few of these, let's go into Buddhism. So if you remember, a lot of the Buddhist teachings go against Hinduism and their teachings, one of which was Buddhists don't believe in the caste system. So if you're a Buddhist, the idea of the caste system, the idea of the varnas, the social order division that the caste system creates, doesn't exist. They don't see the need for it. They don't like the social division it creates. They just don't see the need for it, to be quite honest. They don't see what good it provides society. It doesn't help them achieve nirvana. If you remember, the Buddha says the whole point of life is to achieve nirvana or enlightenment. They don't think the caste system helps them do that, so they don't believe it. They don't need it. That is probably the biggest difference between Hinduism and Buddhism, is the caste system. The Hindus believe in it. It's like their foundation. Buddhists, they don't care. Another one, if you remember, we talked about karma and reincarnation. Buddhists actually believe in both. They believe in the idea of reincarnation. They also believe in the idea of karma. So that is a big similarity between them, is that they both believe in the ideas of reincarnation and karma. The difference, though, is that Buddhists want to end this idea of constant reincarnation, being reborn again constantly. They want to end that. Hindus kind of want to just keep the cycle going and eventually make your way up to the top, all that fun stuff. Buddhists, they want to reach enlightenment, which, remember, means finding the meaning of suffering. and life and all that stuff. And then once they reach that point, they just want to basically die and be done. They believe that if they're reincarnated after they reach nirvana, they're just born right back into suffering, which is kind of the thing they don't want. So for Buddhists, reincarnation serves a purpose in the sense of if you don't reach nirvana in this life, maybe you reach it in the next one. But they believe that once you reach nirvana and you maintain nirvana, you're kind of done. You've achieved the goal in life, essentially. And they don't see the need to be reborn again. Another one is this idea of karma. Buddhists believe in karma. They believe that the idea of what you do good things down the road will come back to you. They believe that. They believe the same thing with bad karma. You do bad things, eventually bad things will happen to you. But they don't believe, since they don't believe in the caste system, that it determines a role into whether or not you're reborn into the next caste or the lower caste, because they don't have the caste system. So they don't believe in the idea that it helps determine your standing in the next life, essentially. So another difference that I want to highlight is where these two religions ended up. If you remember, today in India, a vast majority of the population in India today are Hindus. Like a very good majority are Hindus. There are some Buddhists in India, but for the most part, Buddhism kind of moved out of India. It moved into China, into Korea, Japan, Vietnam, like Laos. Basically, it moved to everywhere but India. So that would be a difference between the two, is that today in India, a vast majority of the Indian population are Hindu. They are practicing Hindus. They believe in the caste system, all that good stuff. There are some Buddhists, but Buddhism isn't the predominant religion in India today. Remember, they both started in India. Hinduism and Buddhism have both had their foundation in India. It just so happened that over time, one of them became the more common, more predominant religion. So that's a similarity and a difference. Similarly, they both started in India. The difference is today, Hinduism is the majority religion in India. So keep that in mind too. Another thing that is a difference is this idea of the Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path for Buddhists. Hindus don't believe in this. They don't see this as necessary. Another difference is just the creation between the two. If you remember, the Hinduism kind of started with the Aryans, those people who came in after the Indus River Valley civilization kind of disappeared. The Aryans came in, created that Sanskrit religion that we've been talking about, and then they wrote the Vedas. Remember, those short religious texts that eventually led to the caste system. So a difference is Hinduism didn't really start with one person. It kind of started with a group of people who together essentially created the idea behind Hinduism, the caste system. If you remember from Buddhism, it's just one guy, Siddhartha. Remember that guy's name? It's basically him. He created this religion essentially on his own. It wasn't a group of people. It was kind of him meditating under the tree for 49 days or whatever it was. So just keep in mind the differences between the two, and the similarities we've talked about as well. Now, here is where your assignment comes in. You were going to do basically a 2-paragraph essay paper. Yeah, 2 paragraphs. One of them will be just about similarities. What do they have in common? What do Hinduism and Buddhism have in common? Paragraph doesn't have to be more than 4 sentences. Okay. If you want bare minimum 4 sentences, if you need to go longer to get your point across, by all means, feel free. So 4 sentences talking about similarities between Hinduism and Buddhism. Your second paragraph, 4 sentences talking about differences between Hinduism and Buddhism. So other than that, that is what you're doing. You'll have today, then I'll also give you guys tomorrow as well. So you will not have a new assignment for Tuesday. You'll still need to get on and take the attendance quiz for me. But as far as having a new assignment, you will not. This will be your assignment for today and tomorrow. Okay, so I know 2 paragraphs is a little more than I usually ask you guys to do. So I'm going to give you guys the extra time to work on that. So no new assignment for Tuesday. Just be sure you get on and take the attendance quiz. Other than that, I do not have anything for you. Be sure if you would like, you can use any old notes you've taken. You can go back and rewatch any of the videos we've done on these. They should all be up on Canvas. If you're looking for one, you can't find it, let me know, and I may have to republish it for you all, but I don't mind doing that at all. Just let me know. If you need me to kind of go over things a little bit more, we can always set up a Zoom meeting or email, however you want to do it. Just, again, let me know that you're wanting that so I can set that up for you. Other than that, I don't have anything else for you all. I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and I will see you all briefly tomorrow.